welcome back to Everything's a Project. I haven't done any real follow-ups on my shop layout. I don't know how interesting it is, but I got some cool stuff. So I'm starting to clean up, like I mentioned in the last video. And so this is the first box I had for doing machining. And just a roll around box. Pretty handy. So got the copper, brass for either shims or soft jaw type covers. So to me, one of the best things to buy is a good set of drills. I bought these when I was in a shop, but all their drills were always beat, destroyed, and I was much more efficient using my own stuff. And they're all cobalt, 135 degree, because when you're doing steel you have to have these, and they work fine on aluminum. These are jobber length, before I knew better. So I have a full set of jobber, but I also have a full set, almost a full set of screw length. A little short on some of them. Then over here, this is Edge Technology. They have some cool little gadgets. This is a stop that goes on the jaw on your mill vise. And then this is an accessory for their other stop. Should be a set screw. I use an ejector pin. That way I don't have to add this on there. I use the head of the ejector pin if I need a larger face or to catch an edge. Or use the pin side is just most of the time. So then this is a collet stop. So that's the body. And then these are the inserts. So you can do... sorry, these are stuck in here. Anyways, if you can see, so that's got a face. So let's say you had a 1-inch 5C. Put that in there so that your part stops positively on that, and you can adjust the length. And it looks long, but that's because it also has to go through the body of the holder too. So that's good. So what else we got in here? Another stop. Some odds and ends. Okay, over here, let's look at this guy. Okay, so one thing I was doing with my CNC is I was making night lights. So hollowed out the back, and then a LED goes up through the body and reflects across, and then I have a black ABS cover that goes on there, so the light will come out through the holes, and then I machine the pattern. And as you can kind of see, this is the last thing I did before the CNC broke. But I manually programmed all this as conversational, so just typing on the screen. But what I use is a drawing program called Corel Draw, and that way I can map things out, and I can figure out all the radius. You know, I just put a giant circle on there till it fits the radius in the drawing, and then that way I know what the radius is, like say that one there, and then I map it out so I know where it starts, where it ends, and that's what I type in. So it's the tedious way to do it, but practical for me. I did a angel with birds and feathers, and it took 3 programs on that machine. It doesn't have that large a memory when it runs to do it all at the same time. That came out pretty good. Got a whole $100 for it and about $1,500 worth of work. But you know, I learned a lot from it. This is the card reader for the CNC. Okay, over here, this is another collet stop. I got a bunch of them now. I've accumulated them over time. So this is odds and ends for like setup, your collet blocks. So one trick, I don't know if everybody knows, but Say you got small work and you want to hold it, and it's convenient to do it in 5C, but you don't have a 5C on your lathe, put this in your 3-jaw chuck. And then you have 5C. Now you do have to take it out every time you want to change a part, but you have the convenience of holding something with the 5C collet instead of your chuck jaw. So if you use the hex and put it in your 3-jaw, you just convert it to 5C. And these are nice if you got to make special bolts, because then you can index, make the bolt heads. Then that's your regular hex block, and that's easy for shafts and stuff like that. Keyways, also holding for keyways. Okay, so another thing, I'm gonna take my hands off the camera. See if we can see that. Can you see that these are cupped? So these are Tico items, and we have a real good hardware store that carries the Tico line. So what's nice about these is they register and they slip on each other, so that when you're tightening down a part or a vise and you're using the clamp set, it keeps the clamp from moving or the vise from moving. You know, because sometimes when you tighten it down, it wants to shift on you, and then you lose your if you were indexing it in. Then the other thing, I worked in a shop that had a whole bunch of different equipment, and each pair of these fits a T-slot there. So then what you do is you put the pair in the T-slot. Let me see if I can... I'll do a sloppy example. Hold on, we're going to go over to the mill. You know, I probably don't have the right ones. Of course I don't. Anyways, let's see if we can demonstrate that. So you put your pins in here. So you have one pin, or you have 2 pins in there. Let me get the right ones. Hold on. We got live action. It's probably this one here that I only have one of. Well, we'll do this. Okay, so pretend these are the correct 5/8 ones and they're in there solid. Then what you do is you either put up a parallel against it or your part against it, and that's registered square to your T-slot. So fixturing is good for that. So like, oh come on, got too much stuff going on here. What did I do? So maybe like this guy here, you know, you need to do a quick register. You just push it up against there. Okay, so that's that. So I have just some charts on here. And one thing I mentioned before, so Little Machine Shop, they make this cool chart. Do not use their steel recommendations unless you want to strip all your holes out. So for some reason they made steel, this is for taps, so your tap drill size, they went larger on the steel, maybe because it makes it easier if you're doing it by hand, but it doesn't leave enough meat. And I started messing up some holes, and I never had before, and then I realized it's because it only happened on steel. So use the aluminum list, which is the list out of the machinery's handbook. That's correct. You're just asking for trouble if you do this. Even if you get a good tap, you're not getting good engagement. But what's real handy about this is it gives you the oversizes for your clearance holes. So close fit and free fit. So that's, instead of opening the book every time. And I had my book here. I got it out for some reason. Okay, now we're going to move on to a drawer. Well, while we're on the outside. So we got the setup kit, and it's tucked in there tight because the mill is down. So I haven't had to get it that one. And then just some files. This is the most common one I use. File card. That's called a file card. If you didn't know, it's not a brush. Okay, so then this used to be all prettied up, but it's gotten cannibalized over time. So got the different mics. They're a little redundant because I did a lot purchase, and the mics that they had read intense and my other ones didn't, so there's a little redundancy there. Let's see what else is cool in here. You can just see these hammers are really nice. I have the bigger hammer over at the mill. This is a speed lock for the quill on the mill. Look, another mill stop. Then some oddball hardware. A little brass knocker, which is always nice, handy. Couple scales, these are good. There's some squares that go in here. They've been cannibalized. They're round. I didn't lose. Oh well, here's one right here. These are handy. Oh, looks like they jumped out of position. Must have been rough with my drawers. Okay, this can be kind of handy. So this is for measuring thickness of a. Hold on. What's going on? It keeps clicking off. So this is for measuring thickness of material, but it only goes to. It doesn't read in thousandths. It only reads in 10,000. So it's not really that useful. So that would be helpful if you were doing hard to reach stuff that you can't use a mic on. And then a couple standards to spot check the mics. These are feeler gauges, so these can be handy. You can use that for quick shimming. Next drawer, again, regular parallels, thick parallels, metric Allen wrenches, standard Allen wrenches up there because they were more popular. Different tap wrenches. These tap wrenches I really like. So they have this mal, and then there's these fittings. So that goes into your quill, like say your R8 collet, and then that engages these. They're different sizes, and then that way you can crank on them. You don't have to worry. It keeps it square. Now I will say, I've been involved with buying 3 of these sets. So I have one of my own sets, then at a previous position, and then at my current position. The quality control has changed. In some of these, the jaws aren't good, and it won't hold the tap well. The tap will wiggle around, where when they're right, it holds the tap square to the body. So that's the only complaint about those. Other than that, pretty good. I've extended this, like doing 1/2 inch in steel. They take it. That's what I use this for. I use this to replace the original bar, and I can use this. This is a ejector pin. If you haven't seen ejector pins, they're great. They're hardened stainless. They're straight. You can use them for all kinds of things. They're inexpensive. You can get them from MSC or McMaster. Having a set of these is nice. This one's nice. It's thin, and I used to use this on molds where I would do the coolant passages, and they had to be a certain depth, and when you're cranking the table up and down to get that depth, you lose it. So I would stick this in the bottom and just use my fingernail to make a mark. You can kind of see there's a mark on that one, and then that way I can get a good measurement, because they didn't have to be within tenths or anything like that. So this is a dead center for a lathe, but it works good for other things. I forgot why it got all crudded up. It was really nice, but probably coolant or something. But oh, this works good on big taps. So if you have a big tap that you need to center up where the spring-loaded guy isn't good enough for. Let's see if I got the spring-loaded one in here. I don't use the spring-loaded one that much. There it is. So spring-loaded one, that's kind of light duty. But if you got a big tap, these work good too. Then you might have seen the little tap wrenches. These are handy. This one here is a Starrett type. Actually, I think this little one's a Starrett too. Doesn't have a name on it. But there's a couple sizes of this. They're really nice. Another center. Let's see. This is a deburr tool for sheet metal. Thought it was cool because I used to deburr a whole bunch of sheet metal. I was an airframe mechanic in the Navy. I don't ever use it now. I don't do any sheet metal work. Yeah, so die heads, a couple tap. So that's about it for that. Okay, let's see. Now we're gonna go down here. So this is a nice set. Oops. These are furred German-made files. They're nice, really good quality. These are the, I forgot what grade they are. I think these are cross cuts. These aren't the finest, but they work good for moving material. And a trick for buying these is Amazon had them for a good price, and they came out of England, so you didn't get them right away like normal Amazon stuff, but they were a good price. This camera won't let me set it down. It blanks out. I gotta figure this out. So I think I've shown this. So this is what you use to align your headstock and your tailstock on the lathe. So you have your center one at each end, and then you on the shiny part, the chrome part looking part of this, you use your gauge so you can compare the one end to the other. Okay, so then that. Okay, now this, I'm pretty sure I showed using this. If you're like me, you're constantly getting a pop-up on Facebook that shows the STI version, and they use it wrong in their video. So how you do this, and right there is a magnet. You stick that on your surface, you touch the one, you zero it, you spin it around, touch the other one on the magnet, so you're touching the exact same spot. That's the idea of it. And you zero that. You do this on the base of the the base of the vise or the mill table. So if you're not using the vise, do it on the mill table. If you're using a vise, you do it across the rails of the vise. They're showing it in their video, doing it on the movable jaw of the vise. Don't do that. That movable jaw can move up and down. That's silly. And a lot of, I'm going to use the word old timers, but a lot of them are like, well, you just use the indicator. Well, what's nice about this is it's real time. So as you're turning in the table, you watch those dials line up to the same number as each other. You don't have to spin it to get a reading. And then say you do the x-axis, then you turn it on your lathe on the inside the vise with the vise all the way open, then you check your y, and it's super quick. It is far quicker, no matter how many years you've been doing it, than the indicator, sweeping with the indicator. Okay, there's the manual for the CNC. I'm having a hell of a time getting people to help me do the CNC. I'll go over that as a diversion. So I couldn't get a straight answer about the Gibbs. So see that middle area? I thought this gib was galling up, so I started to grind it, and it was all over the place. It was wavy. I did have a pro come out, but he's really short on time, but he told me that that's how they're made, because where there's oil entrance ports and they're on each side, so the middle is dug out, and so that when the gib is engaged, I guess, and I'm not a pro on this, it touches on each side of that dug out area. So I shouldn't have ground on this. Now I did only take about 20 thousandths off, but I touched both sides, and that's going to make it difficult because first you got to scrape in the back side, and then you got to glue it up to the dovetail. So you got to put the saddle on here and everything. And this machine is a heavy duty machine. It has 3 gibs in Y. There's 2 sets of dovetails. Usually it's only one up here, or a lot of machines now are boxed. And so nobody else has seen one of these machines yet, but it has a 10 by 54 table, and that's why it's heavy duty. And as you can see, there's no scratches at all on this surface. So I just got to get those gibs saved, and this thing's back in business. It had an oil leak, but I didn't find any damaged lines. Now here's the Y screw. Uses ball screws because it's CNC. But some of the ports got plugged up, and these type of oilers aren't metered. They just give full pressure. Every time they pump, they're timed. And so what happens is when you get some plugged up, more oil goes to other places. So in this case, it appeared to be the nut, and then it would just pour right out, and then it'd run out of oil, then it would alarm out, and it really, I didn't know what was going on. It would let you run it, but it would squeal so high pitched that it would drive you insane, even with hearing protection on. Okay, so back over here, I got one more thing. So I just used this at work. I have one at work. And where is it? It's probably stuck to the... It is magnetized, so I have it stuck to something. Where did I stick it? Might have to show you that later. Okay. So anyways, this is a cool thing. What this is... There's a holder, and these are essentially parallels that go in the holder. There's 3, so they go in between your jaws, on your 3 jaw, and that way you can hold work inside your jaws at different heights, so like a work stop or like a parallel on the mill vise. And once it's dialed in and you put it on there, it repeats. It is very accurate. You put it on, get the jaws, like 90% tight, give it a little tap to seat it, and then tighten it up, and it's good to go. Okay. So anything else over here other than the mess? I gotta sweep up the floor and everything. You know what I'll do? I'll show you the hardware area, because I mentioned it a couple times. Here we go. Look at all this junk in here. Lots of stuff going on over here. It's kind of fun, but it can be overwhelming. This is supposed to be all cleared off. That's one thing I wanted to show you in the video. The one video I got rid of because it wouldn't stay in focus. I'm sorry, I'm disorganized. I wanted to show you, oh, they're right here. So this wouldn't show well. Let's see if it does. Okay, so these are counter bores. This is for bolts. Let's see if that's, okay, so that cuts a square bottom. Can you see how it's undercut? So that's for bolts. This is used for ejector pins and molds. See that radius? And that's so that there's a radius in the pin, and that way it seats properly when it bottoms out. On these, for bolts, you use these because if you use a washer, it won't hold up the washer. And also the underside of a bolt, like on a socket head cap screw, fits good. This is the beautiful Elbrick chuck that I blew up. Oh, that was in the video that I think I had to delete. This is locked up solid. I used a hole saw in it. Shouldn't have. Seen a million other people do it. And it broke. There's a disc down inside there. It broke the disc and it's locked it up. I tried to get it. You know, I had to be a little rough with it. This is beautiful. This is a direct R8. And makes me cry. I bought it brand new. Okay, so, oh, here's something. So this is a Wilton machine mill vise. It's not a drill press vise, I don't believe, because it's got multiple bolt locations. And it's really cool. It's unique. I haven't been able to find another one online, a picture of one. I shared it on one page one time and everybody's like, that's junk, just throw it away. This is Arizona rust. This comes off. So it's not ruined. I got it. I grabbed it just because it's cool. I don't think I would use it because I usually need something more heavy duty. Okay, so we got all kinds of stuff in here. You know, there's countersinks of all flavors. You know, 60 degrees. This is a 2-inch one. I got a 3-inch one. It's at work because I used it once or twice. Then over here is spare drills. And I don't want to have all 3 series of drills or more if you get into metric. But they're in the range. So if you know you need, let's say, you know, say there, I don't know all the drill numbers off the top of my head. Say you need one that's 1/750. This is where it would be, either here or here. And so it's good enough for a shop like this. Then over here are end mills, all different kinds of end mills. And these are those Hout cabinets. And all I did was I tacked them together with a welder. And then there's a piece of sheet metal in the back that's got a hook on it, like that. And it just hangs off the toolbox in the back. And it's turned out to be plenty strong. A lot of the stuff that I did here is really quick and dirty. And if it works out, then great. If it doesn't, then I'll have to redo it. Okay, so then what I did here, these are the regular tap drawer. And so these are all the taps. I had millions of them because from buying out that shop, he had, you know, the popular ones, he had tons of them. So anyway, so like here's your quarter 20s, quarter 28. I threw in some metric over here. Then what I did was I got another one of those, same drawers, and this is sample bolts. So if you got a part that's already made, you can check the thread, or you can use that set that I showed. That's here with those round things. But sometimes those don't work. And then if you start making something, you can just grab a couple of these to tack it together, check it, measure the heads, you know, if you got a counter bore or clear something. Just makes it easier. You don't have to dig through the book. On the one hand, that's the downside because I'm not fluent with the book. But it's got a good assortment. So like, we got a pan head. You saw the socket heads. This is a shoulder bolt with the same diameter thread. So 1/4 inch shoulder, 1/4 inch thread. And then this one is the more common. So 1/4 inch shoulder with the smaller thread. So, and then up here is some these are like metric taps, some oddball taps. The rest of the stuff isn't supposed to be up here. It's just a mess. This is my reamer collection. So, oh, you saw the 90-degree thing, that's in here. You saw that when I did those shafts. In my car, because I might need it at work, the other thing that goes in here is a boring and facing head. Most popular brand is a wall hopper, but I think mine's an MCO, 4-inch one, nice big heavy one. And what those do is you do a bore on the mill, and so you cut your bore hole, but when you step it out, you always get a crappy floor. And when you get to that, your last cut, what you can do is you can set a lock, and then when you go back to center and you turn the engagement of it, so now it will move laterally, so it'll step out to that lock. So up here is mostly setup stuff, a little bit of catch-all, some real early tooling I grabbed. You know, I'd buy tooling lots and, you know, not knowing what I'm doing, you know, hogging aluminum with the 4 flute and getting it hot. Drano will take this off. It's sodium something, you know, it's lye. Drano, lye, or the real name is sodium something. Then these are magnetic parallels, and what they do is on a magnetic vise, like on the surface grinder, it can increase the poles, and it transfers the magnetism from one side to the other, so you can hold up oddball shaped stuff. Yeah. Some shim stuff. The shim set's really nice. I think I showed that before. Adjustable parallels. So you use that screw, and as you move this, they get shorter and taller. Made in USA. Yeah, baby. Thin parallels. So if you got to drill a hole close to the edge of a part, essentially it's spring steel. Parallel set. These are nice. I have no idea why they don't automatically have a 45 in here, the most popular one ever you will use. I have some that came with the shop I bought out. They're in a different drawer. A lot of this stuff I got to keep consolidating, because maybe I'll free up some space. These are really nice. So these I think are Lufkins or Starretts. These are Starretts. So these are machinist jacks. They have a couple different heads on them. And then stands. They positively locate. Mostly I use them when I got material that's hanging off out of the vise, and I got to do work near the end, because a lot of times it'll want to push down. So you can do that to just hold it up. And if you had to, you can have this under the part and have a clamp on top of the part. Some V blocks, some 1, 2, 3 blocks, some aluminum blocks for stuff. Odds and ends, little small jacks. And these have been modified. These got machined down, so they don't positively locate anymore like they used to. 1/4-inch clamping set. These are Mite Bites. These are expensive. Keep an eye out though. I bought these. I have 4 of them. And I think I had to do 3 purchases to get 4. And I think 1 was surplus, 2 got wet and were sold at a discount. But they're cool to have, because these go in. This one got turned around. Here we go. So as you, this is a cam bolt. So as you tighten that, it pushes into the part more, and it also is pushing downwards. So if you do plate work, they're really good for that. This is just strapping from pallet strapping. And you use this between your parallels. Like say you're doing a bunch of parts and you loosen up the vise, take the part out. Well, these spring open and keep the parallels in place. And That's handy because one, you're not fighting the parallel, but it also keeps chips from getting under the parallel. There's a ejector pin used as a stop, so you can register. You can register like that because of the head, or up against it, or on this one it's got a been modified probably for a small part. Some magnets, mystery magnets. Let's see what else we got. Some more setup stuff. This is a magnet. This particular one's kind of weak. A couple small surface gauges, medium and small. I acquired a whole bunch of surface gauges. I have a whole bunch. Every time I bought something, it came with a surface gauge. All different kinds of setup blocks and parallels. Couple gauges, or indicator. Oh yeah, there's another indicator. Oh, with a long arm. Most of the measuring stuff is in the other toolbox, but some oddball stuff. This is a diamond dresser without a diamond, I believe. No, there's no set screw in it. Not sure. A little more setup stuff. Big clamps, giant clamps. These are nice. That radius helps sometimes. This is fun if you ever have the opportunity to buy out a shop that's been around for 40 years. It's kind of nice, all the gadgets you get. Half of it you won't know what it is. This is label maker. So I bought these. Let's do this one. This is the big one. Let's see if this is the internal. Yep. So this is for punching shims. So I use it a lot in tool and die, and then I worked instrumenting jet engines, and you use it there too. So this would punch the OD, and these will punch IDs. And these are pretty cool. Now, cool story with these is it was on my to-do list to get one. Now I have 3 sets. Brand new, they're expensive. They're a few $100s. Well, I had it up my butt to get some, and I kept looking on Amazon and eBay, and there was one on Amazon for $50. Now this was several years ago, and it was a deal where, it got returned, and they didn't know how to manage it. So they sold it for $50. So it's not often you get wins like that. Then this is abrasive and deburring area stuff. Nothing real fancy yet. These are nice. These are cheap, but they're good for cleaning out holes. Especially if you're not using your air compressor all the time. You just run that through instead of blowing it out. Let's see what else is in here. Some power tools. These are nice. This is a mini belt sander. Die grinders. It's a 90-degree head for a drill. This is used in aviation. This is an old one. This is around World War II, I think. I think this is a 5/16 thread. They don't make the drill bits for these anymore. Now they're all 1/4 inch. Nibbler, like if you got to cut metal, that's a cheapie. There's another one of those 90-degree heads. I used to have a great drill. When I was in the Navy, I enjoyed doing the sheet metal stuff. And this is a catch-all of sanding stuff. These are those deburr wheels that go on the grinder. These are nice. They're soft, so you can deburr aluminum and steel. So I got this drill right after I got out of the Navy. It was as big as my hand. I got small hands. It's like a pistol. And I sold it years ago. I should have kept it, but it's a great little air drill. But I was told they don't make them anymore because of OSHA. Because it was so small, it had to blow the air back in your face. So this, when I thought I was going to do my own scraping and found out my hands can't handle it, I bought everything I need, everything I could get my hands on. So I got the hand scraper, and then this is a knife. It's a small surface plate, but it's sold for knife making. You know, like where you polish it. So I figured I would do the back side of the gib on this, and then before I glued it up. Then these are precision ground stones. So they're really nice. They've been ground on a surface grinder so that there's no proud grit. The regular stones, some of the grit is higher than the other, and you'll get some scratches. So you can use these on something, and it won't scratch it. It will only remove high spots. Oh, little idea. Since they got a piece of stone in there, I put a piece of. Come on, get that. So I put this rope under it so I can lift it up to get it out of there. See? Okay, what's next? More setup stuff. This I don't know what it is, but here's one little thing that took me a moment because I just didn't think they'd make them that small. But that's a now I just slipped my mind. It is for smoother than grinding. Oh, I'm sorry, lapping. This is a lapping block, so that's perfectly smooth. And then it's got the checker pattern so that any liquid or any grit that might get under it, under your paper, has a place to go. Kind of like when they do the surfacing on brake rotors. If you see a swirl pattern on it, that's so if any debris gets on there, it can catch in the swirl and get kicked out. Lots of homemade stuff here. Couple grinding vises. These are real nice. These are cool little clamps. These sterrets. No? Yeah, those are sterrets. Some more stones. Bomb sight. Have you seen a bomb sight? Hold on, it's going to take 2 hands to get it open. This thing does not like to be dropped. Okay, so it'll be hard to show, but that left piece is a glass. So if you're laying out work, you essentially draw it out, and then there's a dot in there. You line up the dot with your intersection where you're going to put your hole, and then you pull, without moving the body, you pull out the plastic and you put in the steel, and the steel is a punch, and then you tap it, and that's how you get real precision layout. So that can be handy. Don't use it often. I actually used it the other day. I have another one at work. Had a big plate we had to do some mill work on, and decided it was going to be easiest just to find the center of that plate and take all our measurements off of that. So we just did the simple X. So you draw a line from one corner, from corner to corner, make an X on the part, and the center of that X, where the X cross, where they intersect, that's the center of the material in this case. And then I just made the punch mark on it. All kinds of files. These I bought as a lot, probably off of eBay. Metric counter bores. These are loops, I believe. Yeah. Actually, that's just a magnifying glass. I think there's a loop here. Now, as you get older, you gotta have. Yeah, so I use Optivisors. And they're at work. I have 3 different strengths. I like the number 3 the best because the number 3 magnifies but keeps your focal length about the same. Once you get into the 5 and then especially the 10, you got to get real close to your work for it to focus. So then this is reamers, corner rounders. Corner rounders are nice on aluminum. They're pretty tough on steel, especially as you get bigger. And I've done this big. This is 3/8 or 3/4. Can you see that? You got the camera swinging. Come on, camera. Okay. So I got all these reamers from that